3.7, modeling using variation preparation. Example, suppose y varies inversely as x and y is equal to 3 when x is equal to 8. Find y when x is equal to 6. Okay, so we have y varies equals k, inversely equals division. As x, we divide by x. Okay, when y is equal to 3, x is equal to 8. All right, so we solve for k by multiplying both sides by 8. We undo the division of k by 8 by multiplying both sides by 8. And we end up with 24 equals k. Okay, then we get to rewrite the original equation, but now I put a 24 there instead of a k, and that's over an x. Okay, now they say y when x equals 6. Okay, so y when x equals 6, which means y is equal to 4. All right, there's a typo here, just rewrote the same problem twice, basically, so I'm just going to focus on this one. In the manufacturing of a phone charging device, the cost of production of the device varies inversely as the number produced. If 10,000 units are produced, the cost is $2 per unit. Find the cost per unit to produce 25,000 units. Okay, now cost varies equals k. Inversely means division as the number of units produced. The number of units produced. So I guess I'll put it over a U. U for units, I guess. You can pick something else if you find it more intuitive. That's fine. Okay, so they say if 10,000 units are produced, the cost is $2 per unit. Okay, so we would need to solve for k. We undo the division of k by 10,000 by multiplying by 10,000. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. All right, so those cancel out, and that leaves me k is equal to 20,000. Then what we do is we go over here, we rewrite the original divided by the number of units. Okay. Now they give us some new information. Now they say, well, we're producing 25,000 units. So what is the cost when we produce 25,000 units? And that cost, right, is going to be $0.8. So it costs $0.8 per unit in this case right there. Okay. Now we're dealing with a different type of variation called joint variation. Now, joint variation starts the same way, y equals k, because we're dealing with variation. But now they're going to list out things that it basically varies directly with, which means we multiply. But it's not just one thing, it's multiple things. So joint variation. So in this case, they say x and z. So x and z. So it's just like joint, but you have more than one thing you're multiplying, right? So you multiply repeatedly. So joint variation is multiply repeatedly. Multiply whatever the list they give you. All right, so the interest on a loan or an investment is given by the formula I is equal to PRT. Here, for a given principal P, the interest earned I varies jointly as the interest rate R and the time T that the principal is left earning interest. If an investment earns $100 interest at 5% for 2 years, how much interest will the same principal earn at 4.5% for 3 years? Okay, now in this case, they gave us the equation, so you really don't have to interpret anything. But we do have to plug things in to find, in this case, I think we have to find the principal. Let's see. Because they told how much it earned, which is the interest. That's I. You have to be careful in assigning, defining your variables, right? So basically, in this case, let me be really, I'll be explicit about this. So the interest earned was $100, right? That was the interest, I. So that's the I. Next, they say 5%. That's the rate. Okay, so we know the rate is equal to 5% originally. And they say 2 years. Okay, so we know the time is equal to, 2 years. You can put years there if you want to, but it's not necessary. And then what they say is, okay, they say how much will the same principal earn at 4.5 for 3 years. So the thing here is we don't know the principal. Okay, so we're going to solve for the principal. So we plug in what we know when we solve for what we don't, right? So we know 100 equals P times R being 5%, and then times T, which in this case is 2. All right, so 100 is equal to P times, but instead of writing 5%, I'm going to write 0.05 and multiply it by 2. And 0.05 multiplied by 2 is 0.1. And now, since p is being multiplied by 0.1, I'm going to divide both sides by 0.1. And whatever I do to one side, I will do to the other, which means I divide 100 by 0.1. 0.1 cancels out with 0.1, and we end up with p equals to 1,000. 1,000. Cool. Now we know the principle. So the original equation I is equal to P, or 1,000 RT. Okay, cool. Now we plug in what we know. Okay, so this is a different one. We're trying to find the interest, but now we have 4.5% for 3 years. Okay, cool. So now we're trying to find I, which is equal to 1,000 multiplied by R, which is 4.5%, multiplied by how many years? 3 years. Okay, cool. I is equal to 1,000 times 4.5%, which is 0.045. To convert from percent to decimal, you divide by 100 and get rid of the percentage sign. Or just move the decimal point over to the left 2 points. And then I multiply that by 3. And that would give me 1,000 multiplied by 0.135. All right. So what is 1,000 times 0.135? That is 135. 135. Just like that.